We've got all the switches on and we're ready for another great edition of Beacons of Light. Joining me is Mary Frances White, Dr. Pam Beadle, great Vincentians from St. George Catholic Church. What got you involved and interested in the St. Vincent de Paul ministry, Dr. Pam?
Well, I was in Bible study with a friend of mine, Therese, and she was involved with St. Vincent Society. And she asked me one time, why don't you come observe a meeting? You know, it doesn't mean you have to join, but you may want to see what's going on. And I did, and I went to several meetings, and I really enjoyed and loved the work they were doing. And so I decided to join.
Is that what got you involved, Mary Frances? Was it the spirituality of the society?
I think so, and it was the fact that I wanted to help somebody and do something different that I had not done before. And somebody said, why don't you come join? And, you know, I did and loved it. And I've been president and secretary and vice president for about 15 years. So it's been wonderful.
You played all the roles.
I played all the roles.
And your eyes are often open, Dr. Pam, all the various cases, people coming to us, they're desperate. Just like Jesus said, for I was hungry and you gave me food. We're the part of giving that, but we also grow spiritually, don't we?
We do. You recognize that you should be the face of Christ to others. And when I grew up in New Orleans, of course, they had a lot of poor people, and they had the Ozanam Inn that helped the men. But you know, I would see that, and I felt like there was really nothing solid that I could do about it. But with St. Vincent, you can really help. And the people will ask you for help, and you glorified to feel that you can help them. It's helped my self-confidence and my faith.
Well, St. George is a beautiful faith community. The church
really
is so beautiful. Yeah. And you got a wonderful pastor.
Yes.
And he really...
Father, he is beautiful.
Yeah, and his support's so important, isn't it, Mary Frances?
It is. He supports us and encourages, you know, our efforts, and is very helpful to us. So we appreciate that. And he helps us to grow in our faith and our spiritual.
Well, anytime I have anybody from St. George on, I call it my diversion parish. And what I mean is that if I can't make St. Aloysius on time at 11 o'clock, y'all have 11:30 Mass, so I just divert my wife. And I'm often blessed with Father Paul Yee's homilies. And one thing I have heard, I mean, he's always talking about how to grow spiritually. And that's what St. Vincent de Paul is all about, huh, Dr. Pam?
Definitely. It's definitely helped my spiritual life. You know, I did attend Mass before, and I still do, but I wasn't really involved with the faith as much as I am now, and realize what it means to be the face of Christ to others, that you have to say, you know, you pray that God will give you the strength to help other people.
Right.
And will give you the resources, and that's what we do. You know, we have a lot of poor people in our parish. A lot of them are single moms trying to hold the family together. And I can just imagine how hard that must be for them. And one of the missionaries said one time, you can't preach to people if they're hungry. You can't, in other words, you have to give them something for them to get your attention.
Right.
And so that's what we try to do. You know, we don't preach our faith to them, but we show them what it is to be faithful.
Which is so important. I know, Mary Frances, you've done a lot of home visits in your years. And so when you go in and you see somebody that's in need, they're still, I know often when you make a home visit, they want to pray. Their faith is strong.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
One day, and talking about, you know, being the face of God, sometimes you just don't really think that you are. And I visited a young man at the motel one day. And so when I got there, he was so excited. And he said, you know, I prayed and I prayed all night, and God sent you. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, you really don't think that you are being that face of God, you know. And it was beautiful. And he prayed, and, you know, he had a prayer, even though we prayed with him.
Yes.
But he prayed and prayed out loud with us. And it was beautiful, you know. And you just think, you are doing something and that you don't always recognize, and that you're offering that faith on a silent way, and you just don't recognize it sometimes.
And when you go to make a home visit in pairs, sometimes a home's a motel. Sometimes you go to a home of an apartment, and there's no furniture, huh, Dr. Brown?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's not only the monetary help we give them, of course, but it's as Mary Frances said, the spiritual help, the feeling that people care about them, that love them. And I think many of these people have never had anyone tell them that they love them.
That's true.
And they really appreciate that somebody treats them like a human being, and like that they're worthy of help.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the spiritual growth, and certainly I've heard members through the society for years tell me, I had to get out of my comfort zone. And when you go to make a home visit at a motel with somebody that's about to be asked to leave, had no place to go, it gets you out of that comfort zone, doesn't it?
It does. And it's taught me that, another thing it's taught me, which I think is a big thing for me, is not to judge. Because I used to feel like people that were in this situation brought it on themselves. They either did something or didn't do something they shouldn't have done. And that's why they're in the predicament. But many of them are just victims of their circumstances. And I try not to judge them. I take a deep breath. I say a prayer for them. And I think praying with them helps me to understand that they're victims. They're not the ones that have created our society like it is, and we need to care for them.
Mary Frances, when you got out of your comfort zone the first time, did you kind of feel it uplift you spiritually?
I think so, but I think sometimes, going in there and seeing their faith, even though they may not have much, they may not have the furniture, they may not have a job, but they are willing to have that faith that God is trusting. And I think that encourages us, and it helps us to know, helps me to know that my faith is strong too. And they give you that uplifting spirit, and and just pray with you, and it's just wonderful.
It is. I mean, it sounds to me, Pam, that you're just talking about priceless moments and memories that have helped you along your faith journey.
Yes, definitely. Prayers are, of course, are wonderful, but your prayers in action and praying with somebody really does help. I volunteer at Women's Hospital, and I bring ladies up to surgery. And I've prayed with many of them, and they're scared to death about their diagnosis. And, that's the comfort I can give them, is that they'll take very good care of you. And I pray with them, and it makes a big difference in how they feel about everything.
No doubt about it. And the Society of St. Vincent de Paul is all about putting our prayers and our faith into action. When we come back, we'll talk to Mary Frances and Dr. Pam about why that's such an important and essential part of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. For over 20 years, the St. Vincent de Paul Community Pharmacy has served our area. We provide prescription medicines for those who have nowhere to turn for this most basic healthcare need. Please, if you need your medicine or you know a family member that needs their medicine, contact us. Kay, how can they get in touch?
383-7450.
Give us a call today and spread the word so that we can ensure no one goes without their prescription medication. Welcome back. Talking about putting our prayer, our faith life into action. There've got to be so many touching things that y'all have seen through the years. Mary Frances, is there any special stories you can share?
There is one that really struck me so much. I visited a young lady, in pairs, of course, because we go in pairs, as Jesus said, that she was in an apartment. She was pregnant. She had no resources, no money, and we knew that she was not going to be able to stay there. And all I could do was cry with her. She was crying, I was crying, and all we could do was say, this is what we can offer you. We can pray with you. We can offer the resources to help you go and take care of the baby, where to go, what to do. But that made such a big impression on me that her parents did not want her. I mean, they weren't going to help or anything. And she was just bawling up a storm, so was I. And, all I could do was hold her and pray and give her that uplifting spirit that God provides for us. Right. And then, give her the resources that we know she needed. Right. That she could go to Catholic charities, she could go to get the help that she needed for her pregnancy. But that, I think, has stuck with me, and that's been a long time ago. Yeah. But that occasion struck with me, and that she called and needed our help.
Yeah, I mean,
and we were there.
And as y'all said, y'all see so many single mothers who kind of have lost everything but the title mom, and they're struggling, usually more than one child, and so it's important that we reach out to those, huh, Dr. Pam?
Definitely. Yes, I think I think sometimes, how wrong it is for me to be upset when the cable goes out in our house because, some of these people don't have anything. Right. I mean, really, they have the basics.
I understand.
And I thank God for what He has given me. And I want to share that with others and make sure that they know they're not forgotten. There are resources, and we want to help them with those.
Yes, indeed. And Mary Frances, I mean, Dr. Pam just said that, you have all these blessings in your life, and when you go make a home visit, you see nobody with anything, all of a sudden, the blessings just start flashing in front of you, don't they?
It does.
Yeah.
It makes you so grateful for what you have and appreciative that what you have that they may never have had, and you can offer them a little bit. You might be able to offer them the furniture that they need, to get that maybe a mattress off a bed, off a floor. And so we can offer them those resources and then give them the prayers, the prayer cards, maybe a prayer for employment, might be a prayer for healing. So, yeah. But I think it helps me to grow. It helps me to be appreciative of what God has given me and the resources that I have that I can offer somebody else.
Dr. Pam, what would your message be out to the audience, individuals thinking about, hey, I'm a Catholic, I'm active in some ministry, but not a lot of ministry. Why should they consider joining the Society of St. Vincent de Paul?
Well, when I joined, I was in it about 2 years, and then I was asked to be president. And it just kind of was overwhelming to me, and because I felt like I didn't know enough about it to do that. So I went home and I spoke with my husband, who's been my rock, and I said, they want me to be president. I don't know if I can do it. He said, why not? And then I got thinking about it. God puts you where you need to be. And we do need more Vincentians. We do need more people to reach out. And it's a great ministry. And it's not only, it's social. We meet some good people. We pray together. And I think when the pandemic happened, that was one of the bad things. You couldn't get together and pray as a group. But now we do, and we have our meetings, and we pray outside of the meetings. And I think that's the big plus. It keeps you attached. It keeps you knowing that you all should be grateful for what you have, and that many people don't have a fourth of what you have.
No doubt. Mary Frances, what would your message be? Why should people consider joining the society?
Well, I think it helps you to grow in spirituality. It gives you the faith to help other people, like Jesus said, to meet others' needs that you don't even think about. But also you offer that prayer and uplifting. And, you know, it's just a very part of growth, I think, in faith. And, you know, sometimes I think our faith or my faith has been quiet. And one of the things that I read recently is that Vincentians go about our faith quietly. You help, you don't really broadcast what you do, where you go, and you meet beautiful people. You know, they're people that you may not see at church, in your church, in your activities, but they're beautiful, and they will hug you, and they pray with you, and, you know, they love you, and it's beautiful. And you don't think about anything else when you go. You don't think about what might happen. You just go.
You take a leap of faith, don't you?
You take a leap of faith. Definitely.
You know, the Holy Spirit will help you
Right.
make the right decision.
And it's true, you know, we've never had any problem in all the years I've been doing it. So,
well,
a long time.
You have to take a leap of faith, getting back to what we talked about earlier, the comfort zone. I mean, you just got to get out of that comfort zone, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and so, and it brings you to a different level of spirituality, and you see not only what is happening today, but you can only imagine what happened to St. Vincent and St. Louise, the level of poverty in the world hundreds of years ago. It just, and in some ways you see that today when you walk in a home with no food, no furniture, clothes without, kids without clothes, and it's an eye-opening thing.
It is, definitely.
And they've given up everything but hope. And like the gentleman that responded, he had hope, and you kept it alive. Isn't that a part, the most important part of our Vincentian ministry?
Well, yeah, because we're bringing that hope, you know, and something that you don't always think about, that you're offering this silent prayer and this silent help. And, you know, people see that. You don't really have to advertise, because you're doing it in a silent way. You're evangelizing without even knowing it.
Right.
You know, you're spreading God's word, you're doing his actions, and, you know, you just do it.
No doubt. And that's what we do at St. Vincent de Paul. We just do it. We live the gospel in the best ways we can by ministering to those in need and seeing the face of Christ in each person we serve. When we come back, we'll continue our discussions on the important part of our St. Vincent de Paul ministry right here in the Diocese of Baton Rouge. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul's first cookbook, Taste and See, is the gift which helps share the goodness of the Lord with those most in need. Featuring recipes from Chef John Foles, each chapter begins with a short story about one of our special work programs. To order your copy of Taste and See, please call the Society or visit our website. Help multiply blessings for the neediest in our community.
My Bicycle Journey, a book that tells a story. It educates, it promotes, and it also provides some leadership. Take the time to purchase this book, and St. Vincent de Paul benefits from all of the proceeds of this book. Please, if you would, give St. Vincent de Paul a call and let me know what you think of My Bicycle Journey.
We all need inspiration in our work, and certainly St. Vincent de Paul and St. Louise de Marlac provide a lot of inspiration of their ministry many, many centuries ago. But we can look in our own time and find wonderful examples of people that have lived very saintly lives. Dr. Pam, who do you think of when you think of somebody that really inspires you?
Saint Mother Teresa inspires me. She could have had a semi-cush life. She didn't have to work in India where they had the poorest of the poor. She gave up so many comforts to do what she did, and yet she made everybody feel loved that she touched. And that even the people that allegedly were the untouchables, she touched. And she did a wonderful mission to people in need. And she truly was the face of Christ to people.
No doubt about it. And you know, St. George is such a beautiful church, and y'all have such a beautiful statue of St. Mother Teresa, very prominent, you know, in the church. And it's, you know, and it's nice to see a saint of our time.
Yes, definitely.
Someone who was living, that we witnessed the work. And you're right, she was like, we talked about getting out of our comfort zone. My goodness, you know. She was a teacher in a religious order and saw that poverty and went to action.
Yes.
That's
and inspired many others to do it with her order of nuns and people who followed her.
Yeah, sometimes, Mary Frances, we're whether it's going into St. Vincent de Paul thrift store and helping us out, or going on a home visit, we're like, wow, this is rough, you know? And then we look at somebody like St. Mother Teresa and we say, we don't really have it that rough. Isn't that true?
That is true, yeah. And we have members in our Vincentian family that offer that guidance too, and an example.
Right.
I mean, we have some that have been there 30 years or more, you know, and they're still active. And every time I think, oh, you know, I think I'm too tired for this, I'm not going to do it, they give me that uplift and say, look, you know, you can continue, you can go on and help and do what you need to do. And they're that example to me.
Well, I don't think she would, you know, we'll never talk about a woman's age, because they're 29 and that's it. But
Second time around.
You know, but y'all have a member who still comes to the meeting, can't be as active as she once was, but I bet you if you share her name and her age, she's not going to have any trouble.
Joyce Joubert is a wonderful example. She actually got me involved. She's the one, when I first came to St. George, I moved from St. Gabriel to Baton Rouge when my husband died. And she's the one that said in Bible study that, why don't you come join us? Because I was looking for a ministry. And she's the one that got me involved in that.
So
and then we have another one that was a top hat.
Oh, yeah?
Joyce is 90, and I don't think she would mind telling her age at all.
No.
And she's a wonderful example of helping others.
And who is, mention the top hat. We don't want to
The top hat member from St. George is Stuart Couvion, and
yeah.
he's a quiet faith, and he does so much to help the Vincentians and the community of St. George. And, you know, he builds all these little caskets for the mausoleum for children. And he does crosses and bowls for the fairs, and he's just a wonderful example of helping others.
Well,
Beautiful.
The whole St. Vincent de Paul conference is just people just like Stuart and Joyce and you, people coming together to kind of share their faith life and do something really great for the church. What would your message be, Dr. Pam, in a world that you turn on the TV and you want to turn it right back off because there's always bad news? This is good news. And like Mary Frances said earlier, so many St. Vincent de Paul members are very quiet. What would you want people to know about some of the great work that's being done quietly?
Well, I think we have to do that by our actions. And, you know, it used to be that you never said that you were Catholic or you were this or you were that because you were afraid of offending somebody. Well, we need to get past that. And we need to talk about our faith and talk about what it means to be Catholic or what it means to be Christian. And it has opened my eyes to understand that there is ways to help. You have to be involved with your community. You can't just go to church, come home and say, well, they'll take care of it. It's not going to happen. And if you notice, when we have a disaster, it's usually the faith-based communities that help.
That help.
And we have to continue that. And I think we need to make more of that in our presentations in the newspaper and on TV and so forth, and stop looking at the negative side of everything.
There, and that's it. You got Dr. Pam's prescription. Dr. Pam says, get out there and share the gospel, because, you know, Catholicism, Christianity is all about love. That's it. God's love for us and for others.
And I find myself telling more people that I love them, because, you know, you truly do, but a lot of people don't say it.
Right.
And I've never had anybody object to that. And they'll say back to me, I love you too.
Right.
Yeah. And Mary Frances, when, you know, you go make that home visit, isn't it a active way of saying we love you?
It is. And I think they see that. You know, they'll tell you, we've never had anybody come and be with us, you know, or give you a hug or tell you, you know, pray with you. And so I think that's sharing our love for each other. And we have a pantry. St. George has a pantry, so we can bring food to those that are needed. You know, that sometimes you can't get out, you don't have a car, you're not driving, so we can bring food to them. We offer all the resources through St. Vincent de Paul thrift store, and so other things too. So, and we share that love by doing that too.
And I mean, whether it was St. Vincent de Paul and St. Louise in the 1600s or here in 2023 plus, we are living the gospel, and that's more important today than ever, right?
I think so.
Exactly.
Right.
We have to show our faith and not be shy about letting people know they're loved.
I agree, yeah. And that's what Vincentians do. You know, you go and you share it in a quiet way, and you offer those love resources, and then it helps, we grow in doing that. And we share that spiritual need and get so much from it, you know.
Well,
really good.
Well, we really, Mary Frances, thank you. Dr. Pam, we thank you for living your faith. It's very powerful. Sharing God's love is one of the best things that we can do. And if you're out there and you want to join St. George Conference, they want you. And if you're not in St. George Parish, find out how you can join your St. Vincent de Paul ministry in your local parish. And if you don't have one, call us at 383-7837 or go to svdpbr.org about how to start a St. Vincent de Paul ministry in your parish. We'll see you again next week on Beacons of Light.